Good afternoon. I'm Ed Gullickson from the Amory area, President of your Polk-Burnett Board of Directors. I'd like to welcome you to the 84th Annual Meeting of Electric Co-op. Today's annual meeting agenda includes a cooperative report by General Manager Steve Stroshane, results of the 2022 board election, and a member Q&A forum, giving you an opportunity to make comments and ask questions through the online chat. You'll find the chat box on your screen. Below the chat tab is a small section that reads, enter your chat text here. Then click the send button after typing your message. We are also sharing 3 board-approved bylaw amendments with you today, and we'll use the polling feature to measure your votes. Assisting us today with the election results and bylaws is our co-op attorney, Tim Louse. The annual meeting follows Robert's Rules of Order, and we have several electric members in the boardroom with me today to assist with a motion and a second to move things to the floor for discussion and voting. We have a big agenda today, and out of respect for your time, we plan to complete the annual meeting in about an hour. So let's get started. Our bylaws state that the number of members to constitute a quorum at a meeting of the members shall be 50. We have 74 logged in so far today. So we have a quorum. So I'll officially call this meeting to order. The official notice of the annual meeting pictured here was mailed as a postcard or emailed to all Polk-Burnett Electric Cooperative members in accordance with our bylaws. The invitation was also in the May power lines, announced on our website and Facebook page. Proof of this official notice is available for anyone seeking verification. Our presenters today are Steve Stroshane, General Manager, who will give the State of the Co-op report. Tim Louse, System Counsel, who will share board election results and ask for your approval of board adopted bylaws. Mike Morris, Vice President of the Board, and Todd Schulte, Member Services Manager, who will moderate our member Q&A forum. I'm Ed Gullickson, your board president. Now, I'm pleased to introduce your co-op board of directors. They are elected by you, the members, to represent you by setting policy and direction for the cooperative. Your directors are online with us this afternoon. Your co-op directors are back row, left to right. District 8, Chuck Brookshaw of Webster. District 2, Mike Morris of Luck. District 5, Jeff Trainer of Balsam Lake. District 9, Tom Swenson of Webster. And District 7, Jerry Ochneck of Spooner. In front, left to right are District 6, Wilford Owens of Frederick. District 3, Ed Gullickson of Amory. District 1, Cindy Thorman of Osceola, and District 4, Joe Mitro of Balsam Lake. I'd like to thank our board and employees for their dedication and contribution to the co-op. The minutes of the 2021 annual meeting have been posted in the meeting materials on the website, and you will also find a copy in the resources box. You can access resources by clicking on the resources icon on the right side of your screen. We would like to receive the 2021 annual meeting minutes as presented. All those in favor of approving the 2021 annual meeting minutes as presented, please vote yes. If you do not approve, vote no. We will wait 30 seconds for your response. Yes. The results of the vote are 94% yes, 4% no. The minutes of the 2021 meeting are approved as written. Next, General Manager Steve Stroshane will present the State of the Cooperative report. Steve?
Good afternoon. I'm Steve Stroshane, General Manager. Next, I'll provide you with a report on the state of the cooperative. My report will highlight our efforts to ensure reliable power and our financial position. I'll also introduce our new Georgetown solar project and share how we're making a positive difference in the communities we serve. First, a few basic co-op facts and figures about who we are. Polk-Burnett has 21,422 electric services across our system. You are served by more than 3,400 miles of power lines across 2,000 square miles, including 1,805 miles of underground cable and 1,646 miles of overhead wire. We average 6 members per mile of line. The co-op employs 58 people at our offices in Century and Siren. 49 are electric employees and 9 are propane employees. We have added 2 new positions in 2021 to address increased technology needs. Together, these employees work to fulfill our mission of providing reliable power with great customer service and doing it all while controlling costs as best we can these days. We believe one of the ways the co-op can make it easier to do business with us is to offer electronic options for payments and transactions, including our Smart Hub app, where you can access your account, track electricity use, view and report outages, and pay your bill. You'll find 24/7 self-service on our website, and we have about 10,000 accounts today using our Smart Hub app. And of course, members can always connect with a live voice at the co-op. We know from survey feedback that our members appreciate and expect both high technology that enables 24/7 service, but also the personal touch of a live voice when needed. Speaking of member feedback, we'd like to thank you for expressing your support for the co-op on our annual member survey that is conducted every October. Polk-Burnett received an 84 on its 2021 ACSI survey. The American Customer Satisfaction Index is a standard measure of performance used by businesses and industries across the country. The average electric utility is 75, and we're very proud of the level of service and satisfaction we provide. We also conduct surveys following any transactions with the co-op. If you receive an email survey, we appreciate your feedback. We read them all, and your response helps us learn what is working and what we can do better and how to plan for the future, so we thank you for taking the time. I'll be the first to say we are not as perfect as we want to be, and we always try to improve, which is why your feedback is so important to us. We know your number one expectation is reliable power. So far this year, we've had ice storms, a long cold spring, and multiple windstorms we've had to deal with. We'll see what this summer weather season brings, but through all the seasons and all the types of weather, I'm happy to report that our power supply was reliable with only a couple minor storms experienced in 2021. Once again, we're proud to be in the top 25% of all co-ops nationwide for reliability. In 2021, co-op members experienced an average of less than 3/4 of an hour without power when you factor out major event days. When major event days such as storms are included, our members experience an average of less than 1 hour without power, but that number is always dependent upon the number of storms we have each year. We're always working to improve reliability, especially restoring power faster when those major events do occur. In 2022, our work continues and we'll invest $5.9 million to upgrade and maintain a reliable electric system. Our 2022 work plan includes converting 19.8 miles of overhead line to underground, building 14 miles of new overhead line, upgrading substation equipment so power can meet summer demand and be rerouted during outages, replacing the last 20 miles of deteriorating underground cable, and completing our meter upgrade. This year, our investment in the electric system focuses on upgrades to ensure reliable power during winter and summer peak seasons. Recently, we've seen summer demand for electricity grow by over 30% in some areas during 2020 and 2021. Since the pandemic started, we've had more people working from their homes and cabins when they come to their cabin, they stay longer. This change in activity has caused electricity demand to increase for both our residential and seasonal members. With increased demands comes increased costs and upgrades. We're investing in substation equipment upgrades to keep up with the higher peaks in demand for electricity. Already this spring, we have performed 3 upgrades and have additional upgrades planned for 2023 as equipment becomes available. As the preceding slides have shown, our priorities are reducing how often the power outages happen and how long they last, while keeping you informed as best we can. When your power does go out, we will do our best to keep you informed through our real-time outage map, Facebook, or by signing up to receive an outage text. We know power outages are inconvenient, and when the power is out, you don't care about Polk-Burnett being in the top 25% for reliability. What matters is us keeping you informed by providing the best information we have at the time, including the outage cause and the estimated restoration time whenever it's possible. Moving on to financials. You'll find the complete financial report in the resources box. I'd like to share a few highlights with you. At the completion of 2021, your electric cooperative had $106 million in assets, up from $101 million in 2020. Consolidated operating revenue of $38.9 million was up over the previous year, and net margins were up to $5 million. With revenue and margins up, we returned a special capital credit distribution in April. And I'll share more about that in a minute. The report also shows revenue of $33.9 million for electric operations and how those revenue dollars were spent. Our cost to purchase power in 2021 was $18.7 million. 55 cents of every dollar we collect goes to Dairyland Power Cooperative to purchase power on your behalf. Polk-Burnett does not own the power plants. We buy electricity from Dairyland and distribute it to you, our more than 21,000 co-op members. We are one of 24 members of Dairyland, and what happens at Dairyland and in the wholesale power market has a significant impact on our costs. The remaining 45 cents is what we have to work with to build and maintain our local power lines and to do the work we do to keep your lights on every day. A key component in strong financial results and a priority for us is controlling costs where we can. Polk-Burnett and Dairyland are both affected by the economic conditions of today. Just like you've experienced rising costs in gas, food, and building supplies, we've seen rising costs in equipment and materials we need to operate and maintain the electric systems. Some of the specific challenges today include higher prices in the wholesale power market due to rising natural gas prices that began in June of 2021. Just recently, the price of natural gas reached an all-time high. As you know, coal is another fuel source for electric generation. The challenge with coal is not necessarily the price, but rather the availability due to rail transportation difficulties and having it shipped from the mines to the power plants. Transmission grid congestion is has further limited the ability to move the renewable energy from where it is generated to where it is needed. And finally, our prices for material have drastically risen. 3 key inputs into building power lines include underground cable, which is up 40% in cost for 2022 and another 20% upcoming for 2023. Overhead conductor also up 40%, and transformers, which are up 85%. So with that bad news out of the way, let's talk about something positive. As a nonprofit electric cooperative, we also give money back. One of the greatest advantages of co-op membership is capital credits. Money beyond expenses is always returned over time to members as capital credits. In 2021, we returned more than $1.6 million to co-op members. In addition to our regular $1.6 million capital credit distribution last fall, we returned a special capital credit to members this April. This special capital credit was paid out to you because revenue from 2021 energy sales was greater than anticipated. Kilowatt-hour energy sales were up in 2021, and Polk-Burnett and Dairyland were able to hold down expenses. We're expecting the need for a rate increase in 2022, but instead we gave excess revenue back to members as a special $1 million capital credit in April. For members who are interested in solar energy, we offer rebates on home installations, or you can purchase renewable energy blocks through our Evergreen program. I can also report that the 10-acre Centuria solar array in our Centuria backyard generates approximately 2.2 million kilowatt hours of electricity annually, which is enough to power about 200 homes. You can view this solar generation on polkburnett.com. I'm excited to announce Georgetown Solar, a second utility-scale solar project for our service area. The co-op is partnering with Seattle-based One Energy Renewables to develop a 15-acre solar site in Georgetown, which is about 10 miles east of our Centuria office. The 2-megawatt solar array will generate solar energy to power 375 homes. Georgetown Solar will be built, owned, and operated by One Energy Renewables. Polk-Burnett will purchase solar energy from the array at a fixed rate for 25 years. Solar energy will feed into our electric distribution system to benefit all co-op members. Georgetown Solar will be located next to the Bunyan substation at the intersection of County Road I and County Road H in the town of Georgetown. This site was selected to help alleviate summer overload conditions at the substation. The ground under the panels will be restored as prairie for pollinator habitat. We're coordinating the timing of this project with other Wisconsin cooperatives to get the best volume discount. We are in the planning stages and hope to break ground in early 2023. Once construction begins, we expect the site to be operational within 6 months, hopefully by fall of 2023. We'll share more details as we progress with this project. Electric vehicles are another way we are helping our members transition to new technology. Moving from gas to electricity reduces pollution and can help members save money with reduced fuel and maintenance costs. EVs also increase the co-op's energy sales, which is an important financial goal. We don't expect transportation to change overnight, but we're preparing for future growth by partnering with other cooperatives to form Charge EV. Charge EV is expanding the charging network across Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa, and Illinois to help alleviate range anxiety and encourage EV adoption in rural communities served by cooperatives. In 2022, we have upgraded the existing Level 2 charger at Marketplace Foods in St. Croix Falls to a Level 3 fast charger, allowing the battery recharge process to occur faster. Polk-Burnett works hard to improve our local quality of life, not only with reliable power, but also with support for our local community. Each year, we're proud to support our community with Operation Roundup grants. Grants are funded by the generosity of you, our members, who round up your electric bills. In 2021, Operation Roundup awarded more than $72,000 to 68 local nonprofits, including schools, fire departments, and libraries. When we go out and award the grants, we hear firsthand from these organizations how much they appreciate your generosity. A list of all 2021 Operation Roundup grants is in the resource box. Polk-Burnett is also proud to award scholarships each year to the sons and daughters of co-op members. In 2022, the co-op awarded $77,500 in scholarships. 62 students received $1,250 to attend a technical school, college, or university. $919,000 has been awarded since this program began in 1987. It's important to note that scholarships do not affect your electric rates. They are funded with unclaimed capital credits that would otherwise be forfeited to the state of Wisconsin. Co-op members can also donate your future capital credits to support the scholarship program and co-op youth. Please give us a call if you'd like to make this change in your account. You'll find a list of 2022 co-op scholarship winners in the resource box. As you've heard me say in earlier slides, reliable electricity at an affordable price is our number one goal. The challenges today are much different than they were last year. In everything we do to improve reliability, we must also consider cost and protection of our environment. No one likes to pay more for electricity. We understand that reliable electricity must come at a responsible cost. And just like being a good steward of your dollar, the co-op must also be a good steward of the environment at a responsible cost. As we look to the rest of 2022 and planning for 2023, our focus is to balance reliability goals with the goals of keeping costs and carbon down. Reliability, affordability, and sustainability is a balancing act that your co-op board and I work on every day for our members. These are just a few highlights about the performance of your cooperative. You can see a summary of our 2021 outcomes on our at a glance flyer in your resource box. I invite you to read our Powerlines newsletter, follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and visit our website often to stay in touch. On behalf of myself, the board of directors, and the employees, we'd like to thank you for your support and your membership. We're proud to be your trusted source for reliable electricity and energy information. If you have any questions about my report or any other topic, please submit it through the chat feature and we will address them during the member forum. Now I'll turn the meeting over to Tim Laux, co-op attorney, for the results of our 2022 board election and bylaw amendments.
Good afternoon. My name is Tim Laux. I'm legal counsel for Polk-Burnett Electric Cooperative. I am charged with reporting on the procedure and results of the 2022 board election for districts 4, 5, and 6. Directors are elected by the membership for 3-year terms commencing later this month. The election was conducted by mail or web ballot with an independent election contractor, survey and ballot systems. Election results were tabulated from ballots received on or before May 31st, 2022, according to the bylaws. The certified results account for 908 ballots, 727 paper, and 181 online from 5,713 eligible members, yielding a participation rate of 15.89%. Now, pursuant to bylaw Article 5, Section 3B, I report the following. In District 4, Joe Mitro ran unopposed and was reelected for another 3-year term, commencing with the June regular board meeting later this month. He received 236 votes. There were 4 write-in ballots. No write-in received more than 1 vote. And 2 ballots were left blank and went uncounted. In District 5, Jeff Trainer, incumbent, ran against John Ukra. John Ukra was elected for a 3-year term commencing with the June regular board meeting later this month. Mr. Ukra received 212 votes and Mr. Trainer received 181. There were 3 write-in ballots. 1 ballot was left blank and went uncounted. In District 6, Wilfred Owens ran unopposed and was reelected for another 3-year term, commencing with the June regular board meeting later this month. He received 262 votes. There was 1 write-in ballot. 6 ballots were left blank and went uncounted. All the election materials will be retained through August 1st, 2022. After that date, unless there has been an inquiry or challenge to the results reported here today, all the election records and materials will be destroyed. On behalf of all the members, thank you to the candidates and all those who participated in the director election process. Next on the meeting agenda, the cooperative reports for member approval, bylaw amendments adopted by the board of directors pursuant to bylaw Article 12. Official notice of the annual member meeting and the amendments being reported for approval has been given in writing by postcard and regular United States mail, electronically on the Cooperative's website and by mail to members who have provided their email address. Every official notice method advised that the entire text of the amendments for the report and approval was available on the online registration page, at the cooperative offices, or by request at the Cooperative's 800 telephone number. The full text is also available in the Resources tab and on your screen as I highlight the changes. Bylaw Amendment Number 1 was originally adopted by the board on October 19th, 2020, and was withdrawn from the 2021 annual meeting because the official meeting notice did not clearly identify the purpose of the two amendments that were scheduled for that annual meeting. The adoption of Amendment Number 1 was renewed, therefore, on June 28th of 2021 board meeting for report and approval at today's annual meeting. Insertions are indicated by underline and deletions by strike through. During the board's regular governance review, the board looked at enhancing the qualifications to be a member of Polk-Burnett Electric Cooperative. And let me back up a little bit. During the board's regular governance review, the board looked at enhancing the qualifications to be a director of Polk-Burnett Electric Cooperative and reviewed common practices among other Wisconsin electric cooperatives. 4 additional qualifications were selected from the review and adopted by the board of directors. Bylaw Amendment Number 2. This originally was adopted on January 25th of 2021 and scheduled for report and approval at the 2021 annual meeting. It was also removed from the 2021 annual meeting for the reasons stated previously and renewed at the June 28th, 2021 board meeting for report and approval at today's annual meeting. Insertions are indicated by underline, deletions by strike through. The addition of section 2B, 2C, and 2D was intended to enable the cooperative to declare and conduct meetings under emergency circumstances. The addition of section 2E was intended to enable the cooperative to conduct meetings electronically. The amendment to section 4, notice of member meetings, was intended to accommodate the change, allowing the cooperative to conduct meetings electronically. All 3 parts of this amendment, emergency meetings and bylaws, virtual meetings, and the small but important addition to section 4 that you see on your screen, enable the cooperative to align its bylaws with changes made by the Wisconsin legislature to Wisconsin Statutes Chapter 185, Cooperatives, pursuant to 2021 Wisconsin Act 5 on February 25th, 2021. Bylaw Amendment Number 3 was adopted by the Board of Directors on July 26th, 2021. Insertions are indicated by underline, deletions by strike through. This amendment modifies the bylaws to allow the cooperative to notify members electronically. Because of the 20,000 electric members, approximately 13,000 have an email on file and 10,000 are on the Smart Hub app and receive regular electronic communications from the cooperative. Since over half of our electric members receive electronic communications, it made sense to amend the bylaws to include electronic meeting notices and save postage costs for a separate meeting. Now is the time for you to vote your approval of the board-adopted bylaw amendments reported today. If you approve of the board-adopted amendments, vote yes. If you do not approve, vote no. Yeah, are we done?
Yes.
Okay. Am I live? All right, the results of the polling are 90% of those voting in favor of approving the board-adopted bylaw amendments and 9% not approving. The board-adopted bylaw amendments are therefore approved. I'll now turn the meeting back to Steve for the member question and answer forum.
Okay, thank you, Tim. Now we'd like to hear from you. One advantage of co-op membership is its democratic member control, meaning members have a voice in the way the electric cooperative operates. Your opinions and feedback give all of us at the cooperative a better understanding of what members want and need, so we can provide you with the best service and plan for the future. We'd like to thank you for participating in the annual meeting today, and we'll address your comments and questions at this time. Please enter your comments and questions in the chat box. You'll find the chat box on the left side of your screen. There are two tabs, chat and support. The chat tab is highlighted by default. Below the tabs is a small section that reads enter your chat text here. Then click the send button after typing the message. Our moderators have been watching your questions and will submit them for our Q&A forum at this time, but we did, we tried something new this year, and we gave an option to submit a question ahead of time. So we do have a couple of those right now, and some of them do overlap. So I'll start with those questions that we've already received at the time of registration. The first one is a common one. It came in actually in this chat also, but there was two questions that came in ahead of time, and the question reads, do you have any concerns about the recent news regarding electric system reliability this summer and the possibility of rolling blackouts in California, Texas, and here in the Midwest? So that, like I said, that question we've seen in the chat today. We've seen that came in a couple times ahead of time. The power market today is probably tighter now than I've ever seen it at my time at Polk-Burnett. There have been news reports on this topic, and yes, I do have questions or do have concerns about the situation. Even if Polk-Burnett does everything right, even if Darylyn, our power supplier, does everything right, it's really a regional problem. We really have limited control over whether rolling blackouts will happen or not, because the regional authority, which is MISO, which you've read about probably in news reports, the Midwest Independent System Operator, really makes the decisions, and all utilities, including investor-owned, utilities, cooperatives, and municipals, the entire region, must work to decrease load if we reach that point where the grid could be compromised across the entire region. That MISO region does cover 15 states and part of Canada. So can it happen here? Yes, we've had a plan. Probably, I've been here for 25 years, and of those 25 years, we've probably had a plan for 20 of those years. We practice that plan on an annual basis, what to do if we have to reduce load in an emergency situation. So it's a challenging power market out there right now, and we have a plan if we need to use it. But yes, it is a concern. One of the other questions that came in ahead of time was a question on our meter upgrade program. So this is something we reported on last year. Just a little background. We started our meter upgrade program in 2021. We hope to finish it in 2022. This is really our third generation. Our first generation, we started this back in 1996. We did our second generation in 2010, and now we're on to our third generation, started in 2021, as I said. And this newest generation they're called smart meters. And it's some different technology than we've used in the past, but it's industry standard technology approved by the FCC, the Federal Communications Commission. So the question that was submitted is regarding health and technological concerns related to the inadequacy of the appropriate health, safety, and surge protection testing of the new smart meters. So as I said, this is really industry standard technology that we're using. The smart meter technology uses radio frequency to communicate meter readings back to the office. And that those radio frequencies operate on the same unlicensed radio frequencies that baby monitors use, garage door openers use, and remote controls for your TVs use. The cooperative has tried to be as transparent as possible throughout the implementation process by informing everyone of the upgrade, and also being sensitive and respectful of members with differing views on the technology and opinions. And their opinions, we invite conversations to really find a resolution if there's concerns. We have, one of the things we've always tried to do, whether it's with technology or whether it's with other programs we've rolled out here, is we try to provide options. As an option to installing a smart meter on your house, you have the option to relocate your meter socket away from your house, and we'll install the smart meter at that location. So in the end, the reason for this entire upgrade is the existing technology we're using today is no longer supported by the vendor. It's reached the end of its useful life. We just had to repair a piece of equipment out there today operating on our system by scavenging parts from a recently retired piece of equipment to just keep it going. So we're in need of an upgrade. And we do believe that the new meter system provides operational benefits beyond just meter reading. Just a quick example of how we're using it to improve our operations. We had a tornado come through here just north of St. Croix Falls, going up through the Balsam Lake area, and caused quite a few outages. And in several cases, we were able to determine the location was out of power before the member reached their house on the weekend and found out, hey, I have no power. We restored that power just by our meters signaling us that they're out of power. So that's the approach we've taken on the meter upgrade, and are trying to provide options. So that's the response to that question. The next question that was submitted was in regards to solar home credits. Yes, we do offer credits for renewable energy at your location, $250 per kW, up to a maximum of $750. We will purchase any extra power that is generated at the end of that is not used at the end of the month at really what the average wholesale price on the market is. So it's whatever Darylyn has to buy that power for, averaged over the entire month. That's what we pay for any excess generation. So I'm not sure if the question was related to upfront cost or extra generation at the end of the month, but those are our two programs there. We had another question that came in on our recycling day. This is a program we offered a few years back. And it was a one-tier program that we did for a couple of years when there really wasn't any other options for recycling old electronics or old appliances. At that time, we were able to find a recycler that didn't charge us for it. So really, it was only us providing the labor, kind of facilitating the process. And I think one year we had 4 semis worth of recycling that was hauled away in one day. So the recycler started to charge for that service, and I guess we decided it was really no longer a good event for us to offer. There's local options in both St. Croix Falls at the Polk County Recycling Center, up in Frederick. There's a recycler up there too. So we really didn't think that was core to our mission of providing reliable power anymore. Even though it was a good community service we could provide, there's just better options now. I think the last question that came in ahead of time was related to some general background on why rates increased this past winter. What were the causes of the increases? Maybe just to start out is we haven't increased our rates since July of 2010. However, it was a long, cold winter, and we have seen average electricity consumption increase on a lot of members' bills. So they're using more. It's been colder, use more when it's cold. So that could be one reason that your bill went up. We've also had some power cost adjustments. And again, this kind of relates back to the pricing of the wholesale power market. In January and February of this year, we passed along credits because, we passed along credits in January and February, but in April and again in July, we're passing along a PCA charge. So in both cases, it's related to prices paid on the wholesale market. The credits were left over from 2021. So Darylyn passed back to us in 2021, $818,000 in credits. So in 2021, the wholesale market kind of worked out favorably for Darylyn. They saw savings. We passed those savings back to you, $818,000. Unfortunately, in 2022, it's a different story. The supply chain issues, the Russia-Ukraine conflict has impacted the price of natural gas, and it's a more expensive power market this year. And just as Darylyn's seen increased costs to purchase power off the wholesale market, those costs are reflected through a power cost adjustment charge. And like I said, there's one pass through in April and another one passed through in July. That will be passed through in July. So I hope that answered that question there. And those were the questions I had from submitted ahead of time. I saw as we were talking here that there were some coming in through the chat. So I'll ask the moderators to provide me the next question.
Okay, Steve, I have a question from Autumn Zimmerman. Will the annual meeting ever go back to in-person?
So that's a good question, and I think the answer to that is going to be a yes. It may be in a little different format. When we first started to do the online meetings, we had a lot of positive feedback from people saying, "I've never been able to attend an in-person meeting before. The online meeting is a great alternative." So I think maybe what we try in the future is some form of a hybrid meeting, but we do hope to get back to in-person. A lot of cooperatives were meeting in person this year, and the response was positive. We do also like the online approach because it does let people that can't attend in person still hear what happens at the annual meeting. So I can tell you just from the questions that have coming in, I mean, this is a really good interaction, really good way to get feedback, because when we did online meetings, we get maybe 1, 2, or 3 questions. I've already answered more questions just from what was submitted ahead of time than we normally would get on the online or from the in-person meetings. So hope to maybe get back in person, but yet still have some hybrid or some online options to continue the good feedback. So thank you for the question, Autumn. Is there another question from the moderators?
Yes. A question from Lorraine Hafes. Will there be a prepay program for propane this year?
Okay. So that's probably a question I'll have to refer to the propane department. The propane
Take
department.
that question because I'm the president of the propane board there. And the answer to that question is yes. It should be coming out sometime in late July, early August at the latest. But they're working on that right now.
Okay, thank you, Mike.
Then I have a question from, and you may have already answered this, from Dale Braun. Does the co-op have a strategic plan for electrical system maintenance and upgrades?
No, I think that question would be unique to what I talked about. So when I was talking about, are we going to have, do I have concerns over blackouts? That's more out of our control. It's more of a regional issue. Polk-Burnett system is strong. We continually invest in the upgrade of that system. We take the buzzword today is grid hardening, making the grid stronger, converting lines from overhead to underground to make sure there's less impact due to windstorms, tornadoes. And we do convert to about 20 to 25 miles, even maybe 30 miles a year from overhead to underground. And while it's in vogue today, this term grid hardening, we've been doing it since 2004. We've had that conversion program going on. So we've really seen the benefits of that. We have a very strong maintenance program. It's kind of is reflected when we strip out the major event days and you look at how the system performs, we end up, as we reported, in the top 25% for reliability. But we still keep the investment going. The challenge recently has been the cost of materials, and I reported on that a little bit. It's inflation's having a big impact on the cost of operating the electric system, but the short answer is we do keep investing in the system, both on our overhead inspections, our underground inspections, and then our converting lines from overhead to underground.
Okay, there's two questions here that relate to solar. And so from John Kluge, where you asked, what % of our power is generated in the solar garden? And from Mike Schumann, why is Polk-Burnett buying solar power from private companies instead of owning our own solar facilities?
Okay, those are two good questions. So the first one, it's really a pretty small amount that's being generated by the solar garden. The one outside of our office today that's in service and has been since 2017, 80% of that is owned by Dairyland, 20% is owned by Polk-Burnett. So it's really a pretty small amount that's generated from there, from Polk-Burnett's share of that array. The new array we announced at Georgetown is a little different. I think it gets us up to like, going off the top of my head here, and I can, with all these questions, we'll follow up with information on the website. So I'll double check this, but I think it's right around 2% of our energy once the new array goes in would be coming from a solar garden or solar a renewable source like that. So I think it's pretty small today, but it gets bigger once we put the Georgetown array in. So thank you for the question. The next question.
Steve, another follow-up question with solar. Joan Peterson just asked, do you recommend any solar providers?
Yeah, if you contact our member services department, we do have, I do believe our department will work with you on providing some of the contractors we've worked with in the past. I think I saw that question a couple times maybe coming in, but we will provide those. We did have a pretty well attended solar PV seminar that we had a local installer come in, and we do that annually, and it's pretty full every year that we do that. So if you have questions, that's a good way to get educated. But we can provide some guidance on local contractors if you're interested. And then I think, Mike, there was one question on why is the co-op buying solar instead of owning it?
Correct.
And there's a couple reasons for that. So I'll start with the easy one first. It's a unique system, something that we haven't done before. We're not experts in it. There's been some cooperatives that put in their own community solar right when I don't know, it was probably almost 10 years ago now. And it just requires a lot of O&M to that. And you're not familiar with that. They're having trouble getting parts to that. It's really side to their normal business practices. So that's one reason, just the familiarity with the equipment, getting the equipment, especially in a supply chain crunch like we're in today. Probably the bigger reason is we're a nonprofit, so we do not pay income taxes, and the government has an investment tax credit available for solar developers, and we cannot take advantage of that investment tax credit. So it's from the financial modeling, it's more efficient to buy it through a power purchase agreement than it is to try to own it, maintain it, something we're unfamiliar with. So we own the interconnection equipment, but we do buy the output. Then on a cloudy day, if it's not producing, the array outside of our Century office here, it's a solar tracking array, and the array was underperforming, and they had to change out a bunch of equipment on that because the equipment prematurely failed. I can't remember if it was due to winter conditions or what, but that's not our problem when we're just buying the output. That's the developer's problem to worry about all those expenses. So it's much easier for us just to buy the output, and that's the way we're approaching it with our Georgetown array. That's the way we approach it with our Century array, and that's the way many of the cooperatives are doing it. An investor owned, they have a little different situation because they can take advantage of that investment tax credit. So that's my answer to that one.
Okay, thank you. Dave Moe has asked, will our power grid be able to handle the increase of more EV vehicles in the years ahead?
So yeah, that's kind of a tricky question because there's a near-term answer and then there's a longer-term answer. So the near-term answer is yes, we can handle EVs to a point, but there's got to be transition time because we cannot, if everyone went out today and traded in their gas-powered vehicles or diesel-powered vehicles for an EV, that the system is not designed to handle that. So what we hope to do is transition, and that's what we've been encouraging. We put, as I spoke to in my State of the Co-op report, we put in a 3-phase or a bigger charge you down at Marketplace Foods. It's called a level 3, and it really what that means is it just charges the vehicles faster. So we put that in there, and we don't think that's going to be the primary source of people charging their cars because we really don't want to charge them in the middle of the day. We want people charging their vehicles at night in their homes. And it's important to control, as I spoke to also, is the system peak demand during the day, and it's much better to charge vehicles between 11 o'clock at night and 5 in the morning. So longer term, we would have to adjust if we're going to be in an all EV world because it would take grid upgrades. But in the short term, in the near to midterm, the system can handle some EVs, and it's been very popular. We've sold, I think, 10 additional EV chargers this year. We just put in the new level 3 charger at Marketplace, and we've been surprised by the amount of activity that's occurred down there. So it's definitely a transition that's occurring, and the gas prices are probably pushing that along, the current gas prices.
Okay, thank you. A question from Mike Schumann. Seasonal cabin owners are approximately 40% of the co-op members. Why are these members not permitted to serve on the board of directors?
Yes, so this is a question Mr. Schumann has asked in the past, and we provided answers to, and I'll provide them again for any new listener this year that hasn't been on in the past. But a co-op membership is really you already have democratic representation, and to be a co-op director, we require you to live here, just like a school board would require you to live here, a town board, a county board. Really, the difference is the co-op gives those people that don't live here but have a residence here, a seasonal cabin here, we give you the opportunity to vote. So we have several directors that are either have businesses working with seasonal cabin owners. We have board members that may have a primary residence and also seasonal residence here. So there's a lot of ways for seasonal members to interact with the board. They can, as I said, they have the ability to vote, but we really don't want to cut a board up into special individual classes. Okay, we're going to have a board seat for the seasonal people. We're going to have a board seat. We have several dairy operators that are in our top 20. We're not going to have a separate board seat for the dairy operators because they're a big user. We don't have a separate board seat for the commercial operators because they're in our top 20. So you have to live here full time to be a board of directors, but everybody has a chance to vote. So we've had this discussion at length with Mr. Schuman in the past, and I appreciate the opportunity to discuss it again. But the board has looked at this at his request multiple times, and they went through the entire governance review 2 to 3 years ago, and we looked at it again at that time, and we decided to stay the course as is, and that's very common, as I said, of school boards, county boards, town boards. So that's my response to that question, Mike.
Okay, we have one here from Carl Tony. Do the smart meters have a brand name and model that we can look at online?
The manufacturer is Landis and Gear.
Could you spell that, Steve?
LANDIS, then the and % sign, then GYR. But there's a big selection of meters, different programs.
Steve, this is Todd. I can help with that too. Landis and Gear is a worldwide provider of smart meters, and they have probably 5 or 6 or if not more metering solutions. The one that we are using is called RF Mesh, and so it's a Gridstream RF Mesh product. If you go to their website, you can find all that information there.
Okay. We have several questions from Mr. Schuman here. Point of order, we need to have a discussion before we vote. What about voting on his amendment? Why weren't we able to vote on the amendment separately? And we have a voice. We didn't have a chance to discuss the bylaw amendments. How is that a voice?
Hi, Mike. I'll handle that. This is Tim Laux.
Okay, go ahead, Tim.
Well, first, I think it's important to point out how important the notice and information provided to members about any potential change in the bylaws is. Matter of fact, it was so important that a year ago, we removed 2 of these bylaw amendments from the agenda because of a minor omission, an unintended omission from the notice to the members, where the bylaw requires that the board notify the members of the purpose of an amendment bylaw. That one element, what the purpose was, did not get advance notice. And so that entire issue of bylaw amendments was removed from the 2021 annual meeting. And these bylaw amendments then were ratified or renewed at the June 2021 regular board of directors meeting, so that they could come up again this year in 2022 after completely full compliance notice to the members for consideration of approval at the 2022 annual meeting. Having said that, Article 12 of the bylaws provides, according to law and according to bylaw, that the board of directors may alter, amend, or repeal the bylaws. In subsection A, the bylaw provides that except for Article 10, which has to do with selling the co-op, except for Article 10, the board of directors can adopt amendments to the bylaws, subject to the requirement that the proposal be reported for approval at the next annual or regular member meeting. That's what has been done. The board adopted these bylaw amendments and has reported to the meeting and sought approval here in the 2022 annual meeting. The bylaw also provides that at any time, such bylaw amendments could be subject to amendment and repeal by the members, and then it sets out how that can take place. Subsection B says the members can amend a bylaw by a 2/3 majority of the members present and entitled to vote at any annual or special meeting in person as to the bylaws except Article 10. Well, number one, this was a virtual meeting, and number two, we sought the approval to gauge the interest and the likelihood of approval by the members who were voting at this annual meeting, and the bylaws were approved by a 9-1 margin. The bylaw also goes on to describe how, if that method of member approval doesn't work, the members could also amend the bylaws. And in section D notes that regardless of whether proposed by the board of directors or by the members, the bylaws shall not be altered, amended, or repealed at any annual or special meeting of the members unless notice of the purpose of such alterations, amendments, or repeal shall have been contained in the notice of such meeting, and further provided that any such alterations, amendments, or repeal proposed by members shall have first been submitted to the board for its approval of placement on the agenda and inclusion in the notice of any annual or special meeting according to its reasonable rules and regulations, not less than 120 days prior to this meeting. Now, none of those circumstances have applied, and I can state on behalf of the board that no such proposals for amendments have come to the attention of the board, meeting that requirement for advance notice, so that even proposals to amend the bylaws by the members have to meet the notice and purpose statement requirements if the bylaw amendments are proposed by the board. And then the last issue or requirement that needs to be highlighted is Article 12 subsection E, that provides that a motion offered from the floor at any annual or special meeting which is germane to and within the scope of any alteration, amendment, or repeal specified in the notice of the meeting may be acted upon with the same force and effect as those set forth in the notice of the meeting. I want to point out that that bylaw says those matters may be acted upon here at the annual meeting, but they're not required to be. That is not mandatory language, it's permissive. So all in all, exactly the procedure that took place today and resulted in the overwhelming vote in favor of the board's noticed and purposed amendments to the bylaws carried and were approved.
Okay, thank you, Tim. I have one last question from Dale Nee. It said, I wish we had underground lines. Some of our neighbors have it. How do we go about getting them?
Good question. And it's a pretty common question. So we prioritize everything really based upon kind of what was talked about earlier, the system maintenance and inspection. We do an inspection, identify any maintenance problems. We can't convert all 1,600 miles of existing overhead line to underground. So it's really just prioritizing, if the overhead line and the poles fail an inspection, that's usually kind of triggers our push to do something. And a lot of times it's going underground. So that it really needs to have a push like that. But if you want to contact it, and it really depends upon the situation, but if you want to contact us, we could have someone go out there, and sometimes we cost share. Sometimes I guess we don't. If it's new facilities and you want it underground, that would be the members' cost. But if it's old facilities and it's going to fail an inspection, then we can cost share it also. So it's a good question, and it is something our engineering technicians can look at if you would like to contact our operations department. So
Okay,
Mike,
that's all the questions that I have. So we thank everyone for sending the questions out. And back to you, Steve.
Okay, well, thank you. I mean, we get a lot of interaction. This is the benefit of the online meeting. Like I said, when you do this in person, it's good for me because there are softball questions that I normally get, and these are much tougher questions. But it's good interaction, and I'd like to thank you for the questions. I'd like to thank everyone who fills out our surveys, whether it's our annual ACSI survey or transaction survey. Every time we get feedback, we read it and we try to adapt and try to get better. So I guess on behalf of the board, the employees at Polk-Burnett, and myself, thank you all for participating in the Co-op's 84th annual meeting. I'll turn the meeting back over to Ed Gullickson to adjourn it.
Thank you, Steve. Before we adjourn, I'd like to remind you that all who attended today's meeting will be in our drawing for a $50 bill credit. We will draw 10 names after the meeting and will contact the winners directly. Employees and directors are not cannot be part of the winners. I'd like to also invite you to mark your calendars for our Member Appreciation Day, Friday, August 12th. We had a tremendous turnout last year and the year before, and we're hoping to do the same this year. Watch your July Power Lines newsletter for more information. The 84th annual meeting is now adjourned. Thank you for attending. We will post our drawing winners, the recorded meeting, and all the resources on our website within a week or so. Please remember that you can call the co-op with any questions or concerns at any time. Thank you for attending. That's the end of the meeting.